Okay, I have 4 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. Could I have an approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any public comment? Okay, no public comment. Okay, engineer update.
Good afternoon, J.D. King, Page County Engineer. The update went out at 12:45 this morning, or this afternoon, I guess. Monday holidays and all. We certainly enjoyed to see it rain, as it did the last several days. The blades are out. We're hauling rock in the north central part of the county. Our mowers, 3 mowers are back up and running. We're making a second pass around all the hard surface and the paved roads. We're working on a pipe. We're replacing a bridge with a railroad car pipe on La Perla, just to southwest of Clarinda here, and it's the only way in and out for these folks. So we're making a run around, and then we're gonna put this railroad car in place. Spray patcher is having a little trouble with our new used truck, but it should be running again. Had services in the shop last week, sending 42 a tandem up to Omaha, and they're fixing number 41 in Des Moines. Right now they're waiting on some pieces for the box. Our weed commissioner spraying thistles and fielding calls as they occur. He's working on the paved and the hard surface roads first. Construction continues at the Essex Bridge. They'll pour open rail and another set of posts Wednesday afternoon, and continue that until the open rail's done. It's basically 4 pieces. They don't have enough forms to do a quarter of it at a time because it's a fairly long bridge and there's 2 sides to it. Otherwise, we're continuing with project development from the 5-year plan, Yorktown, other bridges out there. The next 2 items on the engineer update are agenda items. Nick Hire will take care of those. But Friday, we're having a safety meeting at the road department, studying excavation safety or trenching safety. Questions for the update?
No,
Okay.
I don't have any.
Next is an agenda item for the engineering parking lot and sidewalk, the plan. Nick Hire.
Okay.
Nick Hire, engineer technician for Page County. I've given you a packet with some preliminary plans. It's for a second run at getting a parking lot on the west end of the annex building. Now that we've moved over there, it's been nice to be over there. The parking lot situation now is not ideal for us, but it's doable. So originally, when we discussed the original move over there, the projected plans were to add a stairway and handicap ramp on the west side of the building to get to the 2nd floor of the building from the west side. That was deemed not necessary at the time due to the expenses of the architect consultants. I went back to the drawing board, and after taking into consideration current concerns from the neighbors in the neighborhood, We moved the parking lot roughly 50 to 60 feet to the south to get away from the property line and eliminate the stairs and ramp on the west end. We will use the new proposed plan is to use the south entrance of the building that is there. We have the handicap accessible chair lifts that both go up and down right there inside the door. So we eliminated the need for the stairs and ramp on the outside of the building with those. The overhead shot, the satellite photo, is a rough idea of where the parking lot will sit on the building. I have mine oriented with the boulevard section down at the bottom of the page. So you will enter on the north side of Washington Street and drive in and park facing east. There will be a 6-foot wide sidewalk at the front of that parking lot that will run from the doorway, the length of the parking lot, and out to Washington Street. Also in this plan and estimates that we have, we incorporated the redoing of all the sidewalks around the perimeter, the right-of-way sidewalks for the public. As you can see in that color photo, that there's big chunks of sidewalk missing and very uneven surface. Any questions about the plans?
So that sidewalk, it kind of has I don't know why it has a square in that corner, but would it you just reattach that one that goes north and south there?
All existing sidewalk in this picture will be removed and
Okay.
replaced with
And then you'll put
the
a new-
sidewalk that has been drawn out on the bigger picture.
Okay.
That is the back page.
All right.
Yeah, the replacement sidewalk will be a foot wider and will meet all city codes. I spoke with Gary McLarnon. There is a match grant that will cover half of the cost for the parallel sidewalks to the streets.
Okay. Where is the property line then for the neighbor? Are they
To the
to the east of that sidewalk
to the
that's going to the
on the
building?
east. Yes, so the property line would roughly be the edge of the picture.
Okay. Oh, so all this green area here from the east part of the sidewalk would still be the county's? Or what are you saying? Like, this over here is where the house is today? Is that all right?
Yes.
Am I looking at that right?
Just off of the picture would be where the house is.
Okay.
Yep. To the east. And the property line to the north would be the shadowed hedgerow on the edge of the picture there as well.
Okay.
Once I got it straight, it was fine.
Yeah. I was just getting my bearings.
Mine too. Okay, so what do you have then, Nick, for proposed costs then?
Proposed cost, we reached out to 3 different contractors to put together, or 4 different contractors to put together estimates on everything. One was strictly an asphalt firm out of Atlantic. He would not be able to do any of the sidewalk work, so we decided against presenting that one as it doesn't incorporate all the things that we need.
Okay,
We reached out to Sticklers, Barnes and Son Concrete Professionals, and 10 Point Construction. 10 Point Construction is a concrete contractor from Denison that has done a lot of our patching work in the past. Concrete experts for sure. So it's roughly 1,600 square feet of 5-foot sidewalk and roughly 1,400 square feet of 6-foot sidewalk. There would also be 6 ADA accessible sidewalk crossing panels, the metal domed textured structures right before you enter a street or cross a driveway are also included those. And then it included a 4,800 square foot of 6-inch paving for the actual parking lot. All the rock and dirt work will be handled by our employees and equipment, which help really drive the cost down of the whole project if we're gonna do all the dirt work ourselves and grading. The 3 bids there, the first, Sticklers and Barnes and Son are fairly self-explanatory. I can answer any questions about the 10.1 as it is a little more dense.
So it looks like the Barnes and Son is around 56,000 total? Okay.
It was the cheapest of the three.
Yep.
Yeah.
The what?
The low quote, yeah.
Yeah.
Barn and Son also broke it down. He did the parking lot and sidewalk separately. So the second page of the Barn and Son covers just the sidewalk, so you can cut that roughly in half. Makes the overall even that much
Oh,
cheaper for
yeah.
us out of pocket.
Okay. Sure.
So the lowest Barnes and Sons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Is there a time frame?
There's not an urgent rush, obviously. We would want to get it done before the fall and winter set in, when our guys and equipment are tied up with winter. And pouring concrete in the winter is not exactly the best way to do it. Hopefully by this summer, we would be able to get it accomplished.
Okay. Barnes and Son is Velisca.
And
Okay.
even and Barnes and Son is us doing most of the dirt work and stuff.
All the quotes were put together with us.
With us
doing the
doing
dirt work.
okay.
The dirt work is you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so, let's redo that again. Sticklers was 63,187.50. Where'd the other one go? Point Construction from Denison was 87,884.72, and then Barnes and Son from Belisco was 56,000. So, okay,
And then you said there's what the grant would take half off of the sidewalk.
Parallel sidewalks, yes.
So
okay.
so you'd be
So the Barnes and Son would,
closer to 50 maybe on that, right?
Yeah,
With the
right
Barnes
around
and
there.
Sons.
the 12.5 would be half of that, right?
Well, the sidewalk is 12.5.
Right,
So
and half of that.
6, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, so do I have a motion on this quotes?
Do we have an itemized list of, so we're comparing apples to apples here, or?
That is the estimate that he put together. He was given the same criteria as everyone else, and that is just what his estimate looked like when he handed it in.
Which one, Barnes?
Barnes.
So their total is 56,000 again.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Kristen?
56,000.
Yes, total.
Those two together.
Yes, 56 altogether.
Well, I would make a motion that we go with Barnes and Sons
Okay,
on the
do I hear a second?
I think we need more information.
Need more information, okay.
We just got a total, we don't have
Okay,
what they're gonna do,
you don't need, do we need to compare?
We sent them the same plan,
The,
responded to the same plan.
right, but do you have egress like on this other, and how thick, and,
the last page, the schematic, the drawing itself on the bigger page was what all three contractors were given, and that's what they sent back to us. With the understanding that a parking lot was to be 6-inch, all the sidewalks were to be 4-inch. All ramps and accessibility areas would need to be ADA compliant,
Going to be 5-foot wide sidewalk.
with the exception of the one that goes from the building to
6
the
foot
street.
wide
It's
sidewalk.
6 foot wide to account for the bumper overhang of the cars.
4,800 square feet of 6-inch paving. And you have that in writing from Barnes and Son?
That they were aware of all the,
You have it all in writing? Well, we have it in writing from Stickler, but do we have it in writing from Brian?
No, I didn't, that was the way the estimates came in. They were just given the drawing, and then
Okay.
this is what they sent us back.
Okay, so do you need it in writing, Brian?
Yeah,
Okay. So before we accept the quotes. So do you want to go back and get that from?
I can get with him.
Okay. Before we accept that, okay. I guess we'll do that next week then.
Just so that I'm clear, you want in writing that he was aware of all the quantities and dimensions given to
You
him
might,
on the plan
yeah,
set?
maybe you ask him if he could break it out
Yeah.
like this, maybe, or
Okay.
at least line item it,
Okay,
Yeah,
so that we make sure that, like,
make sure we got 6 inches in the parking lot,
yeah, that we have everything written out,
5
just like,
foot wide, 4 inches.
I didn't have, I thought maybe I had somebody online here, but no. Okay. Okay, well, we'll visit this next week then.
okay.
Come back next week with that. Okay. All right, thank you for that information, and we'll come back and put that back on next week.
All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick, and, okay, and JD, you got done next week on Kristen? Okay. Okay. Quotes next week. I guess we didn't have a second on that, so, okay.
And we need to talk about where this money's coming from and how and what,
Do what?
we need to talk about where the money's coming from.
Right, we will discuss that next week also, where it will come back. Okay, our next item is discuss approve resolution number 2025, approving the disposal of the county property from last week. Last week, we had the sale of our county engineers building, and we had 2 bids, and this was resolution 2025, lot 5, block 19, in the original plat of the city of Clarinda. And we did not have this on the agenda last week, the resolution, but we did have the sale. And it was found in Page County that we had the sale, we had 2 bids. We had, the sale was to Jeff Williams in the amount of $51,000. The other one was for, I didn't have it. The other one was a bid from Jeremy Pritchett for $42,601. So the bid actually went to Jeff Williams for $51,000. And that the Page County Attorney and the Page County Auditor are authorized to perform all duties necessary to complete the sale and transfer of said described real estate. Last week, I'll go ahead and ask this again. We had a roll call vote, so let's go ahead and do that again. We had the roll call vote for Clark, Mayor, and Rogers were all for yes, but let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and do the roll call vote. The vote was on a motion by Mayor, seconded by Rogers. The board moved unanimously to close the public hearing, and the motion carried 3-0. So everyone voted in favor of that, and the motion was passed and approved. And we'll ask for that again. So
make a
Go
motion
ahead,
to
make
approve
a-
the
yes.
resolution. So
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 20-2025, approving the disposal of the county property.
okay, and I'll have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay. Okay. Okay, and Jim, you've already talked to Jeff Williams then? Okay, so you're working on that, okay. All right, so that's carried and taken care of. All right, so our next item on the agenda is Kelsey Ballard from Mid-American Energy to talk about Shenandoah Hills Wind Project update. Kelsey, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. You guys may remember me from a few months ago,
Yes.
but it's good to be back in front of you. So in those few months, we've got lots of activity happening towards our 21 turbine build out here in Page County as part of the Shenandoah Hills Wind Project. We do still expect the project to be in service by the end of this year, so the end of 2025. The turbine centers are currently staked, so each location where a wind turbine will be, we've had our surveyor go out and stake those locations. The work that is underway is towards entrances for each turbine road, some of the turbine road and grading work, along with some of our general road work. Under the road use agreement, that includes, grading of rock, keeping up those roads, working with JD and his team to understand the bridges, the culverts, that type of thing, as we look forward to bringing in turbine deliveries starting around mid-June. So also this week, working on installing underground collection cable for the project. And tomorrow there is a 911 drill scheduled with EMS from both Fremont counties, and also the city of Shenandoah are aware that that's going on and they can participate. Looking ahead, mag chloride applications for more permanent dust control should start next week. We have ongoing neighbor work. We've got about 6 more agreements we're working on under that requirement. And ADLS Tower, we've received FAA approval but are still awaiting the FCC approval to then further develop that part of the project. So with that, those are the notes I have for you guys this week, but I'm interested to hear if you guys have questions for me, or what kind of cadence you would like to hear for these updates. What are some of the things we can bring to you as this project progresses?
I don't have questions, but Todd, I think, has been.
How has so you said you have all of them located where the towers are gonna go, so you pretty much don't have any issues there with having to move any, or that's all been pretty settled? You haven't run into any snags, and then my other question was, I know that originally there were some issues with the pipeline. There was like a gas pipeline or something down there in Buckeye.
Yep.
Did that get resolved where we are feeling comfortable with that?
Yep, in terms of the tower locations, we're outside of the Buckeye setback areas. We are still working with Buckeye on some of the cable crossings, but those conversations are underway. The teams have met out on site a couple of times, so that's progressing well.
Okay. I had some concerns with because I've had some people call me and said that they've come across some gravel roads and met some traffic there wasn't any flagging going on, and they thought that they didn't know that would be right over the hill, and they were kind of taking up the whole road. Maybe they were working on an intersection.
Okay.
Maybe, and it sounded like they were on a skid loader. I've heard some things about a skid loader maybe doing some construction, and nobody was really stopping traffic, but he'd come out into the road.
Okay.
The other thing was I saw are the roads that aren't being used, are they marked? Because I did see one sign that said this is not a wind turbine construction road or something. There was a sign on it. Did that happen for all the roads that aren't being used, or just happened to see that one? And I took a picture. I've got a picture. I was down in that area meeting with some people that had some concerns, but.
So generally we are trying to use signs, marking, flaggers, those types of things to keep the construction site safe, to help our contractors and crews know where they can and can't be going, right? So I wouldn't say that those are 100%, but we do work to use any method of notification, whether that's to the general public or to our construction traffic, to highlight either go here or don't go here. And that's a continuous effort as we look at the different activities that are going on, different types of equipment that are being used. Obviously when the turbine deliveries start, those are different types of trucks and different turning radius than we have on site now. So that's kind of a continuous management piece that we're working on, but I will take these notes back to the construction team. I know they have safety talks daily, plans daily, and so I'll ask them to bring this up and make sure that they are being safe on site and thinking about the public safety as well.
And then I know 250th, I believe, is an allowed gravel road to use. I'm not sure why we're not using J52 instead. I don't know why they came over. I don't believe there's a turbine on 250th,
Okay,
but
this is towards the northeast part of the project's area.
yeah, it would be.
Yeah. So I know that as deliveries, like whether it's rock or gravel or dirt, are taking place, that part of the haul route plan is to work so that trucks, especially when they're turning, aren't meeting each other at a turning point, right? So there's not one, I'll say dump truck, going right where another dump truck is trying to go left.
Right.
And so in that northeast area, I think specifically where you're talking about, there's routing so that those trucks can safely maneuver those turns and get going in opposite directions. So that's the instance I'm aware of why that's being used, but I can look into it more if you think it might be something different or.
And there isn't any more. So I received a copy of a letter and this was sent out in February though, so it was probably pre-Mid-American taking over the project maybe, because it is an Invenergy letter, but it was sent to a person that's not a participating landowner.
Okay.
And it was almost like soliciting for a location for an additional turbine. But we're not doing that, right? Because that would violate the agreement if we're trying to add additional turbines in the footprint of what we've settled on.
Yep, 21's the number.
Yep, okay.
So we're not looking to build additional
Okay. And I didn't
turbines in Page County.
I didn't know if you had trouble, maybe with one that you couldn't put where you thought you could, and then you were trying to find another spot for it.
So I can't see your letter, but I do know that part of the settlement agreement and a normal part of how Mid-American builds projects is to work with what we call neighbor agreements. So people with homes in a certain distance of turbines. And so for this project specifically, that's something that Invenergy, it was in the terms between the two parties where Invenergy was going to complete that neighbor campaign. And specifically for Page County, there were some additional requirements around that per the settlement agreement. And so I don't have that letter in front of me, but that would have been right in the time frame. And with it being Invenergy, that's logical to me. It's part of that.
On here is just Invenergy, so I'm guessing it was an Invenergy thing before you guys took over. The other thing was I just lost my train of thought. There was some in our agreement that were supposed to be smaller turbines in
Yep.
certain locations.
Yep.
I guess I'm trying to figure out is how we are going to ensure that happens.
Oh.
How do we make sure that those are the right turbines? We don't switch them or,
Sure. So I believe that was covered as part of the building permit process. So when we submitted a building permit, there were 21 separate building permits submitted. Each one had the turbine manufacturer spec sheet attached to it. And so what I'm remembering off the top of my head from that settlement agreement, those turbine specs should match up with that. We also gave that notice in February of what turbines were going at what locations. So all of that together should full wrap that in my mind. Just like, if you were to pull a building permit for a shed,
Right.
You would then want to build a shed that you got the permit for. That's how I see that working.
and then I'm assuming, I suppose all of the turnouts that are on the corners,
The radii,
that those will be taken out once the project's done.
that's correct.
And you guys take those out?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. That's part of that road use agreement restoration. Yep.
And then I did see, so on the wires too, that you were pretty much good about flagging all the wire locations that go
Okay.
across the roads. how do they do that when they're transporting stuff down that might be interference with the wires? Do they disconnect those and then rehook them back up, or how do you?
I don't have the specifics for this project, but generally that's a
Somebody asked me that, so.
generally that's a coordinated effort with the utility, and which may or may not be Mid-American, and the delivery crews, and they're working through, is that something that is outage, that line is taken offline, or is it something they can lift? And that has to do with clearance and timing and the number of deliveries that day and all of that. So that's something that our delivery crews will coordinate with the applicable utility as the days get closer to those happening.
Okay. And I guess finally, what I was looking for updates is just kind of where the project is, anything that's occurring that, you might feel like you need to bring to our attention, or if you have issues or something's not going the way we thought it was going to go, to be proactive in letting us know that, hey, we're having this issue and this is something we're going to have to work out to figure out. But I think all of us kind of started, as soon as the dirt work all started and everything, we started getting lots of questions and lots of people wanting to know, just how close most of the turbines are located. I think the closest one is 1,800 feet, maybe.
We're
From a non-participating, maybe.
I don't know that we have that measurement. We're working from that map that's in the settlement agreement. So where all those locations are, and we've
And I know some of them are
micro-sited
really-
from there.
because the entrance roads are close, and I'm like, well, they're back farther into the fields
Yes.
than where the actual turbine's going to go. So I think they saw a lot of the dirt work being done and the gravel and stuff being put in.
Yeah, so there's grading happening for all those
have we
access
started pouring
roads.
any concrete yet?
For-
Anything for the bases?
No.
Or anything yet?
Nope.
Nothing yet? Okay.
Nope, not for the turbines in Page County.
Okay.
Nope. But that's the type of thing we can certainly tell you in the updates.
Yeah, I just like a general, how the project's going, what's happening with it, so that at least the citizens can kind of know
Sure.
what's going on and maybe put some minds at ease.
Yeah.
Or
I
at
will-
least allow them to ask you if they have questions too, which I told them, I said, you were gonna be here, and if they had questions for you, that they could submit them or let me know.
Yep, or you can pass along my information. I'm happy to answer phone calls. We have a team in Des Moines and a team here at the project site that are talking to folks all day, every day. Overall, Page and Fremont counties have been great. Your staff, the citizens, everyone we run into, our construction crews are very excited about the community that they're in for these next couple of months, so that's good. But that being said, this is a multi-million-dollar infrastructure project. It does come with some pains, but we are trying to minimize those and control what we can. So I'm happy to provide updates, help you all know what's going on, and then you can give my contact information. I may not have all the answers, but like I said, we've
I
got
appreciate
teams
it.
that can
reach
help.
out and ask you questions, you get back to me, so I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
I had one call in the beginning, and a lady said that they were digging across the street from her house, across the road from her house, and they were going to be 3 turbines right across the road from her house, and I was to come down right then and stop them, because that wasn't the thing, and we had hidden the maps. We never had any maps. And I asked her if she had come to the meetings, and she'd never come to any of the meetings. That we had done it in secret. We'd never had any maps, and I asked her if she'd ever come, and she'd never come to any meetings, and that there were three turbines they were digging right now, and we needed to come and stop, and I have not heard from her since, so I don't know.
I still look at the settlement agreement
Yeah.
that's posted on your webpage.
Yeah.
Those bulleted items are easy to find
Yeah.
and out there, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
So anyway, I've not heard from her since, but anyway. yeah, it was like,
So you've already flagged all the locations where the windmill's actually going?
Yeah, the center pin of where the center of the tower will go, there are stakes out there for all 21 locations in Page County that have been cited by a surveyor. Yep, so those
Okay.
GPS coordinates are logged and all that.
Have you started digging any lines in yet, or?
The collection facilities, yep, so especially around that substation area, they've started boring some of those, cables in, and they'll kind of work out from there, so there is underground work ongoing, yep.
Okay,
I still have in my mind 23, I don't know why.
But there
Instead of-
there are two that we were not able to
Okay,
proceed with outside of reasons from the settlement, so, yeah, the settlement says 23, and we're pursuing 21 of building permits for 21. And then, an ADLS tower, hopefully, as long as the FCC gets that approval.
Yeah, and so that's the lighting system?
Yep.
So, yeah, that would be great. I know you guys did that in Adair County, I think.
Yep,
You guys just-
yep, yeah, we're working
So-
on it for Pottawatomie County, we've got, I think, 8 total in progress that we're trying to get going, and so there's 2 federal pieces of the approval for that. One is the FAA, and we have that for this tower, the other is the FCC, and we have been seeing that one take longer, so, we're just kind of not holding queue, waiting for them to approve that, and, then we can design the tower and get the permit and get that up.
Okay.
have you started on Fremont County then also?
For
The turbines?
Yeah, Fremont County, I don't have quite as full of an update there, but they are a little bit ahead in that there's more interest work and cable work going on in Fremont County. There's just been more of it done over the last couple of weeks. The crews kind of started over there and then worked their way this way. But with those turbine deliveries starting mid-June, things will start ramping up over there and get everything ready for turbines.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate you
Yeah.
answering any questions and coming, so yeah.
Yeah, you bet. We will, we'll be online. We'll have someone online going forward. And if you get individual citizen questions,
Okay.
happy to answer those
That's
anytime.
great.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you very
you.
much.
one question for JD before you go. Have we had Nick been out to measure and make sure everything's right?
Yep, we'll send them out.
Okay,
But, you know, GPS. I did have a comment about the route and J52. I know J52 and F Avenue in particular, that we're gonna use that as a haul route to turbine construction like 47.
Okay.
But the depth of the field compared to the road on the quadrants that they wanted, they chose not to fill in those corners. There had been a huge amount of dirt, so they rerouted routed their haul road.
Okay.
So that was part of the 250th.
I took some pictures of J52. It's pretty crumbly spots.
We have video. They have video.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure some of that's from, but I'm sure it's not getting any better, but, yeah, they were just concerned. They had like 6 gravel trucks go by in about 20 minutes on, and they couldn't figure out why they were using that, not just coming down J52, but
There's some of the reasons are
yeah.
a little opaque to us, perhaps. But they'll
I did
figure
notice,
out how to get stuff there.
yeah, I did notice that most of the intersections had been sprayed for dust control, so that looked good. Now, I don't know if that's water or is that the chloride stuff that you were talking
You know, the
about?
mag chloride starts Monday,
Okay.
the
so-
the 2nd of June.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Kim,
Okay. Okay, we have abatement requests from the city of Shenandoah. We have resolution 2125. Resolution, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Page County, sitting in session on this 27th day of May 2025, that we hereby approve the abatement of all taxes on the following property owned by the city of Shenandoah lots 409 and 410 in Crippen's Addition, a city in Shenandoah, also known as parcel 0519429145,000, dated this 27th day of May 2025. And this is per court order. So I would like a I would like
Make a
sorry,
You
go
want a
ahead, a motion, yes.
Okay. Motion on, I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 21, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. And like that, I have another resolution 22. In like manner, the abatement of all taxes on the following property owned by the city of Shenandoah. Lot 6, Fliesbacks subdivision of Lot 65, East Shenandoah. The same being in addition to the town, excuse me, now city of Shenandoah, county of Page, and state of Iowa, excuse me, according to the recorded plat thereof, also known as parcel 05-20308100000, dated this 27th day of May 2025, also per court order. I'd like a motion on that also, please.
I'll make a motion. Approve that.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Motion, all right. Carried on both of those. Okay. Our next item is to discuss and approve a liquor license for Matt's Attic. All we need is a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the liquor license. Matt's Attic.
Matt's Attic, okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All, motion approved. Okay, that's carried. The liquor license on Matt's Attic. Do we have any board communication?
We have an RPA meeting tomorrow.
Okay, Todd, RPA meeting.
And then we have that 9 a.m. meeting
Oh, yeah,
tomorrow, right?
right, we have,
For Fremont County.
yes.
Or Johnson Run.
right, we have a meeting tomorrow.
That's just a phone call, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and that we will, Todd and I will attend that. And Kristen will also attend that. And we'll just do that on, over the phone to talk about Johnson Run, whether we need a levy or not. Did you get a balance of, from Angie? We'll need a balance on the, okay, we'll just need that in the morning. As far as meeting, I forgot last week I had a DCAT meeting that I attended by Zoom. And then today I had a Wabansie meeting that I attended. And I left before the meeting was over to get here today. So those were the board communication. Okay, our next thing is discuss action. Meeting minutes for last week, May 20th.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as written.
Do I have a
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. And our last thing, well, before we get there, any other any other thing to approve or discuss? Nothing else to discuss?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Have anything else to talk about before we adjourn?
I make a motion we adjourn.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, we will adjourn at 4:43.